Well, hello everybody. How the devil are you? My name is Conor McGilligan. This is One Leeds and I'm wearing a hat. Why? Because my hair, we're having a bad day. We're having another bad day, everybody. Basically, my hair's got to a stage now where I don't know about you lot, but basically when I grow my hair, it goes up instead of down. So it's like a brush, basically. So I'm just trying to tame it. I need a trim. If anybody knows a good barbers, let me know as well, by the way. On the dark side of the Pennines, I've got a good one. I've got a couple of good ones, but they're never available. And I just need to get in there quite often because my hair gets a little bit unruly. Anyway, Connor, today we're going to be speaking about the expectations of Leeds United fans. I just want to say a big thank you on the video yesterday, everybody. We had 200 comments and it was just a big thank you to all of you guys. We hit a massive milestone the other day. The channel has got, I think, 6 million views this year or whatever it has, which is just ridiculous. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to all of you. And we did a little bit of a video last night. It was not football related at all. So if you want to check that out, it's a little bit more of a behind the scenes. I just want to say a big thank you to all of you. And if you'd like to see more of that, I don't know what I'd do, but just maybe like the walk-alongs. I saw Steve and I saw some others saying that they like the personal touch where you get to know a little bit behind the camera. I always think that you guys are not really bothered about that, and I don't want to be so like self-indulgent, but maybe it sort of brings down the curtain a little bit and you get to see behind the scenes, if you will. So yeah, if you're interested in that, let us know in the comment section below. But today, I wanted to do a video and I want you guys to just get into the chat and let me know what your thoughts are, but don't get too irate. This is a respectful, hopefully, intelligent discourse about Leeds United and where we're at right now. So I'm seeing panic. I'm seeing a little bit of hysteria. And do I understand it? Do you know what I do? I understand the fact that, I've just been sat with the old man having a chat about it. He's in full-on panic stations right now. 4 signings brought in, Leeds United at a stage where we've probably got 2 starters and there is a lot to do. We're seeing in training footage, there's players of which maybe we thought this season would have been moved on. There's Bamford in there, there's Meslier in there, there's Byram in there. Some people might have thought that was going to be the end of the road. I certainly did, amongst others. And I think there's a little bit right now of people just going, well, what is going on? Are we, it feels like we're missing out on players. People are comparing us to other clubs who are maybe being slightly more aggressive than Leeds are. And ultimately, what is the like favoured position at this moment in time? Where are the better positions that Leeds United need to invest in early so we can get the most out of these signings when it comes to a synergy going into the season? So for me, kind of when you look at the attacking players, it's key. I think they're the ones that you bring in a little bit earlier because the attacking players are ones that a lot of people are going to be going for, especially if they've got good numbers, especially if they've got good, potential and upward trajectory. They're the ones that clubs get done straight away. One that screams out to me immediately would have been Gus Hamer. Now, obviously with Leeds having that number 10 position up for grabs, Leeds looking at that number 10 and for 2 consecutive seasons looking at Gus Hamer and actually talking to Coventry and then Sheffield United. And the rumours were there was a potential, very solid rumours by the way, that there was a potential exchange with Peru and Leeds and Sheffield United, with Leeds being confirmed as being promoted for 3 months now. I don't know, that is one that I would have expected us to go in and get in the number 10 position, especially with Gus Hamer. And now Ruben Sayers effectively confirming that. If, Sayers saying, if we hope to keep hold of Gus, but we know Gus is a very high ceiling player who could go to the next level effectively. And then obviously Gus Hamer from inside his camp saying he's happy in Sheffield, he's happy in this region, he doesn't want to leave. However, if an offer comes in, you just think to yourself, if you're Leeds, are we shopping around for better options in that number 10? Maybe that's what it is. I know it's kind of a split in the comment section when it comes to Gus Hamer, but for me, you need a person who's creative, you need a person who's innovative, clever, technical. I think Gus Hamer fits in to a Leeds United side of which will be the best side in terms of quality that he's ever been in. So I think that works. You need someone who's good on set pieces. That is Hamer, to really facilitate some of our big players, our better profiles. So he's just an example, because I know you guys you always hurl towards examples when it comes to myself, even though I'm not the recruitment guy. But getting some of your attacking players in early, I think, is something that Leeds have to do. And I think this is why the finger is on the pulse a little bit, maybe when it comes to an additional midfielder, an additional 10, if they're looking for a left winger, which is heavily reported, a 9. I think getting these players in early is really, really key for the Whites, because these are the players that are going to cost the big money. These are the players that are ultimately going to, you know, effectively decide whether or not you stay in the division. You know, you look at the defence is great, you're building from the back. This is what Leeds have done really well so far in terms of Bornau, in terms of Beal, in terms of Goodmanson. But what do we know about this? You know, the defence is something that, you know, I've said you build from the back, but these are maybe the players that you're going to save a little bit of money on, even when it comes to the goalkeeper. The big presences are your number 10 really, and your number 9. So the little bit of where my frustration potentially lies is the fact that Leeds haven't done this already, and we've got Man United, you know, coming up at the weekend. But should there be panic right now? I don't think so. I'm just saying that there's an understanding from the other point of view that maybe Leeds should have done something a little bit early when it comes to these attacking players. Now, I've read a little bit online that I'll be panicking by mid-August if we've not developed. Well, we need to get players in before mid-August. I think the big thing for me is the relationship between those attacking players as well. The relationships between the centre-backs are almost consolidated and a little bit more simpler for me. I think there's a coverer, I think there's a goer in most centre-back partnerships. I think there's, in most centre-back partnerships, a defender who's better with the ball than the other. I think there's in most centre-back partnerships, one who'll head of the ball before the other. You know, there'll be an attacking header of the ball, and there'll be someone who maybe sticks on a specific man or a specific second and third man. I think the relationship between centre-backs is a little bit more simple. I think between the forward players, there has to be like a real partnership of which it's telepathic, especially in the Premier League. And that's why I keep going on about some of the forward players being brought in a little bit earlier. So I think this is a critical week for Leeds United leading up to the Man United game. I mean, another thing which is slightly bugging me a little bit is the fact that Ilan Meslier or Carl Darlow is going to be in net for the Man United game. Now, with us being promoted effectively for 2-3 months now, it would have been nice for the window to hit and us to get a goalkeeper, get that one sorted early. And it feels like it's chuntering along right now. There's 3 options in Milinkovic-Savic. There's now Robin Zantner as well at Mainz, of course, who will be a decent addition. I think I'd probably put him 4th out of the 3. But Milinkovic-Savic is an awkward one right now because Napoli are to-in and fro-in. It feels like they're not sure whether or not to activate that release clause. But then you've got Perry as well, who's involved in a really complicated situation at Lyon. Is it worth getting involved in that? So that we're going to be sort of like caught in him for the next 3 weeks. And then you look at Nick Pope, who it's almost like, well, I'm not going. And then reports will say, well, he's actually open to a move. Will that change when Trafford comes in and there's more clear discourse and conversation about who that number 1 is? Potentially Trafford has been told that he'll be competing with Nick Pope, which normally happens in football anyway. So Nick Pope hasn't been told he's number 2. So Nick Pope might be thinking, do you know what? It's mine to lose, and I'm in a Champions League club and I've just won a cup final whilst being in net. So there's loads of complications there when it comes to the goalkeeper. I think it would have been nice if Leeds had just maybe gone out there and got a keeper immediately, got the offensive players, at least the 9 and the 10 really quickly, and then built around that, because I think that's getting your critical positions sorted. So I understand the frustration, I really do. But what I will say, when it comes to all of that and the positive slant, I think 4 players coming in right now is still good for Leeds. You've got 2 rotation options, you've got 2 starters. What Leeds now have to do in the next week, I think the next week is really big. Leading up to that Man United game in Stockholm, I think Leeds do have to go out there and bring in some real players of which are going to maybe elevate that level, and they're going to get Leeds United excited. They're going to get the fan base excited going into, obviously, the campaign. And, you know, if they're able to go out and get some, you know, a big player in, when it comes to central midfield, or the 9, the 10, if they're able to do that and they're able to bring in those profiles before we get into the Man United game, you know, it feels like that would be big, and that would give us that elevation. I keep mentioning this as well when it comes to Leeds United, that a lot can happen in a week, and the prime examples are the ones that we're comparing ourselves to. Sunderland, who brought in Adingra, who I genuinely think could be an actual better option for Arsenal than Noni Madueke if they went in for him as a rotation option. I genuinely believe that. And then you're looking at Talby coming in from Club Bruges, and then obviously you look at Siddiqui and Diarra. So I think there's a conversation as to Leeds actually missing out on these players. But to say we've been linked to 100 players so far, it just shows you really the name that Leeds United is. And it just, Leeds now have to get to that next level by being aggressive, and you pay the money and you ultimately get the money, and that's how we've got to look at it as well. So it's a key week for Leeds United leading up to the Man United game. They'll know this. I still believe that Sean Longstaff is a goer. I still believe that that will happen next week, but adding an Anton Stack, adding a Rodrigo MUNIZ, adding a HAMER, you know, in the next 10 days shouldn't be unthinkable. HAMER, you feel like he's one there to be done. It's got to be there to be done. You know, you look at when it comes to the goalkeeper standpoint, if you're not to get those 3 on your hit list, Robin Zantner is there to be done. That's pretty much unequivocally clear. As I say, I think he's probably the 4th out of those goalkeepers, but there's no complication there. It does with Zantner, it doesn't feel. You know, you're looking at Rodrigo MUNIZ, how much do you have to pay? Is this just going to keep going on? It doesn't feel like there's been any sort of, you know, water poured on that negotiation. So if there's no water poured on that negotiation, is it still firing in the background? How long does this take? You need your marksman in at some point. So it's all about methodically spreading out these signings, but being aggressive with certain positions so that other clubs don't then get involved in negotiation. I think you're more vulnerable with that with your forward players. But when you're looking at the goalkeeper as well, I'd like to see a goalkeeper in this week. I really would. I think it's more of a statement for Leeds United going out and getting a goalkeeper, because we know how vulnerable we are in that area and have been now for the best part of 10 years. So going out and getting a goalkeeper is big, but that almost 9 and 10 position, potentially left wing position, is so big in terms of getting those positions done early. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody. Are you panicking now? Are you not panicking now? Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side.